Hello, everybody, and welcome to elPablo FC, where we do all things football, talk about everything that's happened in the football world, especially in the Premier League and the Spanish La Liga for now. And today we're going to be reviewing match day 7 of the 25-26 Premier League, which brought a lot of drama, brought a lot of surprises and shakeups at the top. Arsenal actually climbed to first place after a 2-0 win against West Ham. Liverpool struggled, as they seem to have been in crisis mode right now. And then Erling Haaland hit his ninth goal of the season, and Manchester United returned to winning ways. So we'll break down all 10 fixtures, key stats, standout performances, tactical insights, and the updated Premier League table, as well as, um, Arsenal leading the charge, Liverpool stumbling, and Newcastle's defensive wall keeps rising. So this is your Premier League weekly review. The first thing we're going to talk about now is Arsenal's title charge. Question is, are they title contenders? I know most Arsenal fans will not, maybe they've been saying this for the last 4 or 5 years, but now, especially for the last 3 years, they would want to hold their cards close to their chest and say that they are not title contenders. But Arsenal beat Newcastle and beat West Ham United on Friday. They beat West Ham 2-0, basically, and then they climbed to the top of the table as they put pressure on Liverpool. And then goals from Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka actually, changed the game and everything. Arsenal actually dominated. They were 1-0 up at halftime. If we're going to go a little bit into details as that game went, basically, if we're just going to kind of break it down, they topped the table, and obviously Matchday 7 actually saw a significant shift at the top, with notable individual performances painting a clearer picture of what really happened. Arsenal seemed to be, taking advantages of other people losing their games and everything. So yeah, so like I said, Arsenal top of the table, leading the league so far, especially based on points. And if we look at the table right here, we see that Arsenal ended this block of fixtures with 3 wins from the last four. 3 wins from the last 5 games with 1 draw, so unbeaten in the last 4 games. And basically, they have 5 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, 14 goals, 3 conceded. So solid defense and it seems they're the side with the least conceded goals. So solid defense with plus 11 goals difference, 16 points in the Premier League, which leaves us with the next game to analyze, which is the Chelsea versus Liverpool game. We brought you the analysis yesterday. I mean, on the day of, but Chelsea versus Liverpool 2-1, which was a tightly contested match where, possession was nearly even. Chelsea secured a vital win over reigning champions through Moises Caicedo's stunning long-range strike and Willian Esteval. Basically, Moises Caicedo's long-range strike put Chelsea ahead in the first half. Cody Gakpo equalized for Liverpool, but 18-year-old Brazilian substitute Willian Esteval scored his first Chelsea goal in the 96th minute to clinch the victory, sending manager Enzo Maresca celebrating down the touchline, which gave him a red card, and that is Chelsea's fourth red card in 5 matches, third consecutive red card in the Premier League. That Liverpool also created higher quality chances, 1.89 expected goals compared to Chelsea 0.88. And then obviously Caicedo also led the league in tackles, 28. in the interceptions, 18 after match day 7, according to Opta. Then the next game we have is Manchester City versus Brentford. Erling Haaland scored his 9th goal for Manchester City. The win for Manchester City, which was Pep Guardiola's 250th league victory, is in a record of 349 games, according to reports all around. Brentford showed resilience in defense, but City's XG of 0.85 and their lowest was their lowest of the season, and they had only one shot on target in the second half, and that is according to Opta. Same thing goes for now. If we're going to talk about Liverpool, let's just kind of dive back into that Liverpool game. Liverpool have lost their third consecutive game. They've lost 2 games already in the Premier League. All top 4 teams have only lost one of the top 4 teams. Manchester City is the 5th. Okay, of top 4 teams, Arsenal, Tottenham, and Bournemouth. They've all lost 1 game. Liverpool have lost 2. But the difference is Bournemouth and Tottenham have drawn 2 games each, while winning 4, while Liverpool have not drawn any game at all. So the tables could turn, because number 3 and number 4 are on 14 points, 1 point behind Liverpool, who are 1 point behind Arsenal. Now, Liverpool have drawn their last 3, or they've lost their last 3 games, but nobody's talking about it because obviously it's not Manchester United. And obviously the fans, they're in outrage. I've seen a lot of posts online. I've seen a lot of stuff, but they're in outrage. But I have not heard them give pelters just the way they give pelters to Man United manager Ruben Amorim. I've not heard them say anything. They lost to Crystal Palace, to Galatasaray, and to Chelsea. And I've not heard them give pelters to Arne Slot saying he's lost the plot, or he's not a good manager. He needs to change his system. He needs to change his style of play. I've not seen any arguments online. I've only seen Liverpool fans talking. The press, Jamie Carragher, Monday Night Football, nothing. I've not seen where they're analyzing how much space is left in the midfield, how the midfield 2 does not work, and all that. Yes, and Liverpool play with the midfield 2. Yeah, but nobody's talking about it. Florian Wirtz, 009. He hasn't scored, hasn't assisted, nothing. Nobody's talking about it. What of Alexander Isak? Nothing. Nobody's talking about that one. In the last 3 games, even summer signing super striker Hugo Ekitike hasn't scored. But nobody's talking about it. But if it's Man United, everybody's going to brutalize Bruno Fernandes. Same thing for Mohamed Salah, their best player. He hasn't shown up this season. Nobody's talking about that. But when it's Man United, boom, everybody's going to pounce on it, especially Jamie Carragher and the ex-Man United players. But it is what it is. We move. Manchester City versus Brentford. Erling Haaland scored his 9th goal. And City had only 1 shot on target in the second half. So that's a problem. And another thing that happened against Man City, at Man City, is that Rodri is injured again, muscle injury. And I know from experience that some of these things happen as a result of the surgery for the knee. So for many people, they might heal from it differently. But Rodri is struggling, hasn't come back to full fitness, and now he's gone on more. He has had a muscle injury. Then if we're going to talk about, before we go into the standings and the title race as it is, Everton versus Crystal Palace. No, before that, Newcastle versus Nottingham Forest ended 2-0 to Newcastle with 1 goal from Votamade, who has basically already scored in the last couple of games for Newcastle and seems to be turning up as Newcastle's good striker. In the last 5 games, Newcastle have won 3, drawn 1, lost 1. And the next game is against Brighton. So it is what it is. And then after that, they have Fulham, then West Ham, then Brentford, then Manchester City. Now, Votamade has 3 goals already this season. And he's one of the top performers. Maraj has 2 goals. Newcastle also secured. Obviously, they compounded Nottingham Forest's issues with Ange Postecoglou on the brink of losing his job. Also, Bruno Guimaraes' his goal, his stunning long range goal, actually added to the woes of Nottingham Forest. Now, Eddie Howe had praised Bruno Guimaraes, his Guimaraes' unbelievable performance and moment of magic for Newcastle's 2-0 win over Nottingham Forest, highlighting the Brazilian's consistent impact on the team. Now, Newcastle have climbed up to 11th in the Premier League table with 9 points after 7 matches, following the recent 2-0 victory at Nottingham against Nottingham Forest at the St James's Park or Newcastle Stadium. So, which takes me back to the shock for Everton versus Crystal Palace. I'm just gonna try and break down the game. In this Premier League match, basically Everton defeated Crystal Palace 2-1 at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, and it seems to have been it has started to become Everton's fortress, basically in the Premier League, with star players showing up on the day that they need them the most. This result ended Crystal Palace's 19-match unbeaten run across all competitions. Here are some of the key moments of the game. First, 37-minute Daniel Munoz scored for Crystal Palace, putting them in a 1-0 lead, and it seemed like, okay, they are secured, they're going up to the next level and stuff. Then in the 76th minute, Iliman Ndiaye equalized for Everton from a penalty kick. And then in the 93rd minute, Jack Grealish scored his first goal for Everton, sealing a 2-1 victory for the Toffees. If we look at the statistics, Everton had 12 shots, Crystal Palace had 13, so it was pretty much a controlled game. Ball possession was 50-50. Crystal Palace had 4 corners, Everton had 2. But the successful dribble percent, Everton had 32%, most of it coming from Jack Grealish and Iliman Ndiaye, and then Crystal Palace had 17%. Now, to better analyze that game, Everton showed resilience by coming back from a goal down to win the match, and Crystal Palace had more pressure in the final third, as indicated by a higher number of corners, but also failed to capitalize on their chances as effectively as Everton. Iliman Ndiaye played a pivotal role in Everton's comeback, scoring the equalizing goal and contributing to the winning goal. This win is a significant result for Everton, boosting their confidence and moving them up to 8th in the Premier League standings at this time. Now, with regards to head-to-head records in the Premier League, Everton had a record of 16 wins, 10 draws, and 6 losses against Crystal Palace, while Crystal Palace had not won away to Everton since April 2014. Now, the next match that Everton will play is against Manchester City on October 18th, while Crystal Palace will play Bournemouth on October 18th. We shall follow those games and give you our feedback as we go, which takes us to the latest standings and the title race right now. Arsenal leads. Arsenal leads the league, taking advantage of Liverpool's dip in form. The title race remains very tight, with several teams clustered at the top, and mid-table battle is also close, with Sunderland being a surprise package, defying expectations of pundits who tipped them for relegation. So if we're gonna look at the table again, as we just did, Sunderland are right now 9th, so we're going from 1st to 10th. Arsenal first with 16 points, Liverpool second with 15, Tottenham and Bournemouth third and fourth with 14, Man City fifth with 13 points, plus 9 goal difference as well. Of the top 5, Man City are second in goals difference, Tottenham are third, and then Arsenal are first with more goals difference, less goals conceded, 3 to be precise. And then obviously Chelsea are 7th. Crystal Palace are 6th with 12 points. Chelsea are 7th with 11 points. And Everton, Sunderland as well are 8th and 9th with 11 points. Manchester United are 10th with 10 points. Newcastle Brighton. Shocking performances. I mean, shockers basically. Aston Villa, who were struggling at some point at the beginning of this season, are 11th, 12th, and 13th on 9 points, while Fulham are 14th on 8 points, Leeds 15th on 8 points, Brentford, not Forest, Brentford are 16th on 7 points, Nottingham Forest are 17th on 5 points, while Burnley, West Ham, and Wolves are on 4 points, 4 points, and 2 points for Wolves at the bottom of the table as they are stuck in that relegation battle. 1 point below the drop. I mean, 1 point, yeah, 1 point below 17th. That's for West Ham and Burnley. So it's pretty tight in the Premier League table. For Sunderland are the shockers of everybody. But if we're talking about relegation implication, Wolverhampton Wanderers are the only team in the Premier League yet to secure a win this season after their draw against Brighton, which gives them 2 points. This places them firmly in early relegation battle. Now, with regards to individual highlights for this match week, Erling Haaland scored his 9th goal for the season of the season for Manchester City. Estevao, the 18-year-old Brazilian, scored a dramatic late winner for Chelsea against Liverpool. Moises Caicedo scored a sublime long-range goal for Chelsea and beats the league in tackles and interceptions. And it just goes to show that there's a whole lot of fragility in the Liverpool defense. And then slowly, Antoine Semenyo is becoming one of the best players in the Premier League this season. He scored 2 goals for Bournemouth in their victory over Fulham. They led Fulham 3-1. Then we're going to talk about managerial comments, major managerial comments that kind of broke the headlines. Pep Guardiola for Manchester City praised his team's performance against Brentford, despite not being an effective team in attack as usual. He noted that the team's youthfulness and pragmatism and also the ability to finish the game expressed confidence in their future strength, according to reports and how he put things out there. And then obviously other managerial comments were also in relation to Man City versus Brentford game, where Michael Andrews showed ultimate respect for Pep Guardiola before the match, recognizing the challenge of facing Manchester City. But then they couldn't use the same tactics that they tried to use against Manchester United to beat Man United, to try to do the same thing to Manchester City. So Manchester City beat them 1-0 through Erling Haaland. So which leaves us with Matchday 7, to wrap this all up, that Matchday 7 has set the stage for an exciting period in the Premier League. While with the title race actually kind of tightening and teams facing increased pressure as the international break comes to light, basically, as we're getting into international break, it will be pertinent to actually see what would happen with teams. Basically, just to give you the full results for the fixtures for Matchday 7, Bournemouth beat Fulham 3-1, home win at Vitality Stadium. Leeds United lost 1-2 to Tottenham Hotspurs. Tottenham Hotspur beat Leeds at Elland Road, breaking their home record, consecutive wins at Elland Road. And then obviously Manchester City beat Sunderland at home at Old Trafford 2-0. Arsenal beat West Ham 2-0 at home at the Emirates Stadium. Chelsea beat Liverpool 2-1 at home at Stamford Bridge. And Everton beat Crystal Palace 2-1 at home at Hill Dickinson Stadium. Newcastle beat Nottingham Forest 2-0 at home at St. James's Park. Wolverhampton Wanderers drew 1-1 with Brighton at home at the Molineux Stadium. And Aston Villa beat Burnley 2-1 at home at Villa Park. And Brentford lost 1-0 at home to Manchester City at the G Tech Community Stadium. So that is pretty much all we have for you today, basically on everything that has to do with the Premier League. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. We'll continue to analyze games. We'll continue to talk about things. Obviously, we'll still be here even during the international break when there's no games other than, the international games that we're going to give you basically starting on Tuesday or Wednesday, as the case may be, up till Friday and stuff. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. The next video you're going to see is most definitely going to be the La Liga preview, La Liga review, and then we'll talk about other things. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.